WNDS Sports presents New England's favorite bowling show. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Featuring the best bowlers from around the region. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And now your hosts, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and it is week 3 of our second ladder series of the season, and thus far, form has held true with the higher seeds prevailing.
And that's what Bruno Defeo is hoping for today, but Steve Renaud will certainly have something to say about that.
Let's meet our bowlers participating in this, the semifinal match of this ladder series. First, last week's winner by 349 to 340 over Chris Sargent. He's our number 3 seed from Southbridge, Massachusetts. Let's say hello to Steve Renaud.
It was the match that nobody wanted last week, but Steve Renaud did prevail. Averaging 120, high single 191, his high triple is 481, bowling out of American Lanes in Southbridge and Munson Lanes as well.
And Steve rolled a 668 in the roll-off to earn the number 3 seed in this ladder series. And he takes on our number 2 seed from Danvers, Massachusetts. Say hello to Bruno Defeo.
Bruno Defeo averaging 121, high single is 194, he's done that twice. High triple 464, does a lot of bowling at the Sunnyside in Danvers, Central Park Lanes in East Boston, and Ryan Family Amusement in Malden Square.
And Bruno rolled a 671 in the roll-off to earn the number 2 seed in this ladder series. It's Steve Renaud and Bruno Defeo. Let's get right to it. We're coming right back for this afternoon's match on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Well, thus far, the higher seeds have prevailed in the first 2 weeks of this ladder series. First week, 4th seeded Chris Sargent eliminated Eric Pelletier. Last week, it was number 3 seed Steve Renaud eliminating Chris Sargent. And this week, he takes on number 2 seed Bruno Defeo with John Winchell waiting in the wings for the championship match next week on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Here's Steve Renaud to start us off. Last week, a match that neither bowler wanted to win, as Steve Renaud defeated Chris Sargent 349 to 340. Sargent had a 39-pin lead after the first string. We were dead even after 2 strings. And it was not a very high-scoring 3rd string, with Renaud winning the match 104 to 95 in the 3rd string, and that was the deciding factor. They were tied going into that 3rd string.
Scoring wasn't great, but it was an interesting match.
It was exciting.
Yeah, 1 or 2 pins apart going into the last 2 boxes, which is what you hope for every week. But
some of those low-scoring matches turn out to be very exciting going down to the wire.
Yeah, it's like a 6-3 game in football, I suppose. Interesting maneuvering going on, and that hurts.
The kingpin still stands. And it still stands.
Missed that one by a country mile. 18 through 2 boxes for Steve Renaud from Southbridge, Mass.
And here's Bruno Defeo from Danvers, Massachusetts, bowling out of Sunnyside Bowlodrome in Danvers, Central Park, East Boston, Ryan Family Amusements in Malden Square. In every place, there's a Candlepin bowling alley. Bruno's 33 years old. He's a chemical operator for Raffy and Swanson in Wilmington. His daughter, Kayla Nicole, is 4 years old. Bruno almost made the spare, but not quite.
His mom and dad are here today.
A veteran of 14 appearances on WNDS over the years. He starts off with a 10 box. His first time on TV, he was 18 years old. When he lost to Tom Morgan, the late Tom Morgan on WNDS TV. There's an unusual leave right there, Michael. We haven't seen that one very often. The 7, 8, and 9.
It's one that Bruno wishes he didn't have to see right now, I'm sure.
Piece of wood in front of the 8 pin.
Almost perpendicular. Yeah, it can be done.
How do you topple pins in the first 3 rows and leave pins in the back row standing?
Sometimes you'll even see all 4 in the back row, Dick.
It defies logic.
It does.
I mean, you'd think you'd hit the ball's going that way, the pins are going that way, and how do the pins in the back row still stand?
Well, if your proprietor will let you sometime, folks, take a walk down to the end of the bowling area. They'll take you behind where the machines are. You take a look down and see how much space there is between each bowling pin. There's a lot of room for things to happen that you can't explain. A lot of space.
Steve Renaud on the head pin leaves the 10 pin. Got the spare. Steve has a nice rooting section from Southbridge here with him.
Both families represented in the immediate settee area where our bowlers stay.
Right in the pocket. Oh, he broke up the spare. He got a break there as the 10 pin got kicked out. The 8 pin still stands.
Wow, what a great pocket hit that was. And he almost had the 8-10 split.
Going to get the wood and almost got it off the wood. I don't think that was his plan, but
no,
he almost converted it.
Sometimes you miss by so much that you actually make it.
That'll be a 10 box. Missed opportunity there for Steve Renaud.
Saw Bruno a little earlier this year, actually, in January. He was the number 3 seed, defeated by Hugh Ferguson, 386-337.
Bruno with a strike in the 3rd frame. Crossed over a little bit to the Brooklyn side, and the 6 pin was the last to topple. Back to action with Bruno on lane 33. We have $650 in our triple strike jackpot. $20 in the bonus ball contest. We had a winner a couple of weeks ago. Bruno will not make the spare. Thought he had it, but it didn't go.
As you know, we select a postcard, and then the bowler has to try to match with one ball the number that's on the postcard. And Chris Sargent was able to do that 2 weeks ago when he was requested to bowl a 3.
He got a 3. I could do that.
Without trying, right? Accidentally.
Here's Steve Renaud, and there they go. The 5 pin was overwhelmed that time by the wood surrounding it. Watch the 5 pin right in the middle of your screen. It still stands. It's the last to go. There goes the 8 pin, and finally the 5 pin was coaxed over.
To be continued.
Trust me, it went down.
Well, this is an easy makeable spare, the 1 and 2. Some wood in between, which actually is helpful, especially if he kind of chops it.
He's going to make it. A couple of marks in a row for Steve Renaud.
He'll be looking at bonus money next time around. One more mark, and he'll get $50 for 3 consecutive.
3rd mark in the match for Steve right there. We'll get to some of your cards and letters and emails during the course of the match this afternoon. We've got a whole bunch to catch up on. Lots of emails that are left over from last season that we didn't get to. We've read them all. We just haven't had a chance to acknowledge them on the air.
And we acknowledge as much email as we can once you send it to us. We don't read it all on the air, but we try to answer everybody back if possible. Now, that was an ugly box of only 6 for Bruno Defeo of Danvers, Massachusetts. Big fan of National Hockey League action. Boston Bruins, of course. Bruno's fearless prediction for the Bruins this year, I asked him here the other day, says they'll make the playoffs, be eliminated in the 1st round. Can you say deja vu? Sitting on the 2-6, and he makes it.
Nice shot by Bruno. Want to get in touch with us? There's our email address, bowling@WNDS.com. We'd love to hear from you. Only takes a second. Let us know where you are. And Your thoughts on Candlepin Bowling? It's such a great and loyal audience. Great note from Calvin Randall from Seabrook, New Hampshire, Mike. Hearing you mention Bob Gamere and Candlepins for Cash brought back fond memories. The show had a progressive jackpot where viewers sent postcards which were put in a bin. As each bowler came up, a card was drawn, and the viewer whose card was drawn became a pin pal for that bowler. There it goes.
That's bonus money.
That's $50 in bonus money for Steve Renaud. That piece of wood comes rolling all the way across. It takes a while, and there it goes. It got there. The bowler shared in whatever the bowler won. If the bowler got a strike, the money in the jackpot was won. If the bowler made a second strike, the bowler and the pin pal each won a new car.
Whoa.
In the early 70s, his card was drawn, was Calvin Randall's. And he was made a pin pal to a bowler named Clara Hyde, who bowled a strike. However, it was a late Friday, and Clara being the last bowler of the day, there wasn't enough time to try for the second strike. So they had to wait till Monday. So on Monday, he was sitting in front of his TV with bated breath, waiting for Clara to try for another strike. She came up and threw a gutter ball. Great story.
Oh, wow.
They didn't win a car, but they shared the jackpot, which was $2,100, which not too shabby at the time.
I think Clara was feeling the pressure and stress all weekend.
All weekend. That was a live show.
I was going to say it must have been, huh? Because he would have known otherwise. Well, there's the spread eagle inside of a 6th frame spare for Bruno Defeo.
And I remember the show. I don't remember the specific details of it, but I do remember Bob Gamere, who's such a talented guy, and he did such a great job in talking to the people, and the people had so much fun with that show. It became very much of a cult type of program.
Is that right?
In the 70s. Oh, it was great. It was really funny. It was, people really gathered around the TV sets, you know, waiting for that show. It developed a real cult following.
How long did it
a couple of years, yeah.
So they would do it live every day. You'd have to have a crew here. Was it a half-hour show?
I think it was. And Bob Gamere was the consummate pro on the air. He was just really, he would be so much fun with the people and have so much fun with them. And it was a great show. I loved it.
So a lone 7-pin remains for Bruno Defeo on lane 33 for a 10. A 23-pin deficit as Steve Renaud steps up. Steve Renaud was a runner-up in the WCBC tournament at Pilgrim Lanes in September, finishing behind a frequent performer on the show, Bob Whitcomb of Halifax. Third was Gary Carrington. Chris Sargent, who you saw last week, was fourth, and Sam D'Agostino of Waltham was fifth. For the women, Joanne Rosano adds to her plethora of titles. Mary Thomas, Peg Tosi, Deb Scannell, and Lois Queen rounding out the top 5. That again was in September. WCBC at Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill.
Steve Renaud with a tough shot here. Tried to bank it off the wall. And he'll settle for an 8-box. He is at 118 with a box to go. Crossing over to the Brooklyn side, and they're still kicking out, and that piece of wood's going to square up a little bit. Now, the trouble pin here is the 6-pin. He's got the 3 and the 6 with the wood in front of the 3. The 6 is the trouble pin, and there it is, still stands.
Not much you can do about that.
And a 10-box and a 128 first string for Steve Renaud. We talked with Steve last week about the program he's starting in Southbridge on local access cable television for youngsters to bowl, team format, get a lot of kids involved. He's very excited, and we're excited for him.
Steve is not only organizing it, but he is the commentator.
Producer, director, the announcer, and everything else that goes with it.
Charge of securing, you know, small prizes as incentives for the kids for spares and strikes, gift certificates, restaurant certificates, and things like that. He is really charged up about this show. As much hard work as there is, and probably not much, well, I'm sure there's no money in it. It's public access TV.
He might get himself an occasional pizza or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's
Open bowling all the time at Leda Lanes. If you're in the area and are interested in Candlepin bowling, I would suggest stopping in at Leda Lanes, 340 Amherst Street, exit 7W if you're coming from the south. On the Everett Turnpike, exit 8 if you're coming from the Manchester area. And there's the phone number, 889-4884, 603-889-4884. Also that number for roll-off information, future roll-off information. And if you're interested in trying to get on our show, Leda Lanes is the first stop. You have to get through Leda Lanes and the competition to get to Candlepin Stars and Strikes. So there's the number, 889-4884. Bruno Defeo finishes with a 107 and a 21-pin lead for Steve Renaud after one. We continue from Leda Lanes in Nashville, New Hampshire. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Bruno Defeo will be first to bowl on lane 34 at Leda Lanes as we welcome you back to Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our terrific crew making it all possible for you to watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world. Our director today is Kevin LaFond. On graphics is Kevin Sheehan. Our replay machines being handled by Jonathan Barraza. Alex Kalistoff's on audio. Keith Webb is our engineer, and David Lawyer, Larry Haber, and Matt DiFilippo. The camera crew make it all possible for you to watch shots like that. A spare from Bruno, and there's the replay. The wood was set up perfectly for him. Actually, he missed the object pin, but the wood was set up in such a way, and then the ball came back to take the back pin. So everything went right for Bruno that time. And he's got to put 3 in the spare. Almost made it. There was a pin flying across from right to left, but it ran out of room. It went off the back of the deck just before it got to the 7-pin.
Bruno recovering from a back injury, is getting better and stronger all the time. His game is back to where it should be. He's pleased with the progress he's made, but he was out for a bit of time because of a back injury. Although we did see him earlier this year, back in January, as I mentioned, being defeated by Hugh Ferguson. Well, there's a mess. The horseman over on the right side, and then on the left, the 7 and 8.
And he almost made it. As Bruno almost made a tough shot for a spare, Steve almost makes an equally difficult shot and leaves the 7-pin in the corner, and he'll start with a 9-box. We continue to get copies of the article that was in the Worcester paper a while back about the Colonial Lanes being the last standing Candlepin bowling establishment in Worcester. At one time, there were over 20, 25, or 26, or 27 bowling alleys in the Worcester area, and now Colonial is the last. And Mary Bartone, who always sends us information on events in Candlepin bowling from Canton, Massachusetts, send us in another copy of the article. Thank you, Mary.
So there's a spare for Steve Renaud in the second frame. Should let you know that if you'd like to come watch our next taping session, you'd want to come this Tuesday. If you're watching on Sunday, the 9th of November, which is the first run for this particular episode, we will be taping Tuesday, the 11th, beginning at about 10 in the morning. Get here as early as you can for preferred seating. We go till usually about 4 in the afternoon. It's always a day of fun, 4 shows, and it's free. Generally, refreshments are provided in forms of coffee and donuts. And great viewing. We've got monitors all over the place, so even if you don't get to sit like where Dick and I do in the really good seats, you can still watch what's going on with the monitors. And you get a chance to meet the bowlers. They're all very accommodating. They'll sign autographs. They'll spend a couple minutes with you. And the crew, if they bathe, they're always pleasant to be around.
Well, what's that? That's the second Tuesday that month? No, they won't be that fortunate then.
I know.
Jeanette Henderson also sent us in a copy of the article on Colonial. She's from West Boylston. Jeanette, thank you very much. We do appreciate you keeping us up to date on happenings in Candlepin bowling. If there's something you think we should know, please. You saw the email address earlier. You can also send us a letter to Candlepin Stars and Strikes, WNDS-TV, 50, Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. As Bruno has a spare in the fourth frame.
That was a thank you spare. Nice kick back off the sidewall. Steve Renaud works on a second frame spare. It's the 2 and the 4. Piece of wood touching the 4-pin, the back.
Not going to make it. And a 10 box.
Steve has a son whose name is Steven. He is 12 years old, was winner of the Massachusetts State All Events competition a little earlier this year for kids in his age group, so congratulations to him.
That's a good pocket shot and a strike for Steve Renaud in the fourth frame. Both bowlers working on marks when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV. Here's the strike once again as we go to break. Bruno Defeo is working on a spare. Steve Renaud working on a strike as we come back from the break. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. If you happen to be watching this show on a Saturday, I would encourage you to stay tuned right after the show for Common Sense as I join Bill Carr for a discussion of the events of the day. Great guests every week. And we look forward to seeing you every Saturday afternoon at 1 following Candlepin Stars and Strikes for Common Sense on WNDS-TV. Bruno Defeo with a spare.
2 spares. If he gets one more mark here, he'll get $50 in bonus money.
Or a strike like that.
So the commercial break didn't slow Bruno Defeo down at all. He's got 3 marks in a row.
That's his first bonus money of the match. Steve Renaud has $50 already and looking for more. That 10-pin danced right off the alley.
Boy, that could have been a double, too. Nice pocket hit from Steve Renaud, leaving the 7-pin as everything else went over to the right side, leaving the 7.
7 still stands. There's the mark for Steve Renaud, so he puts the spare inside the strike, and both bowlers warming up. Renaud looks for more bonus money. He has $50 thus far.
Works as an inspector at La Valley Machine in Southbridge.
That's not a good shot. That's just for a 3-pin fill into the spare. Michael Robbins from Manchester writes, I'm new to New Hampshire, just moved from Maryland and watching the match on TV. This looks like duck pin bowling, a favorite Maryland pastime. Are there any differences other than the shape of the pins?
Well, you do take 3 shots per box, but you do not use the wood as it lies, whatever the proper use would be, on the deck. It is swept away by a pin sweep. That's one of the big differences. The bowling ball weighs about a pound more, and it's a little bit larger. Scoring is, of course, as you might expect, a little bit higher. The pins really fly around like ducks, and that is the genesis of the name duck pins.
I didn't know that. Bruno with another mark. Add $25 to the total.
And I think it's the perfect blend between candlepin and 10-pin. Use a ball that's about the same as a candlepin, but the pins are more like 10 pins. You get a little bit higher score, a little more action. It's a nice blend, I think, between the two, and it's a shame that it's pretty much died out here in New England. A few places in Rhode Island, you got a couple Massachusetts bowling centers that have duck pin, but not many.
Mid-Atlantic states.
Mid-Atlantic, yes.
Bruno almost had it, thought he had it, but was denied by the 5-pin, which still stands. So his string of marks comes to an end at 4. And he'll take a 10 box.
Making a nice run at Steve Renaud. Found himself 21 pins below Steve as they began the second string.
Trying to get some of it back. Steve held on to that one a little bit too long, but got a pretty good break. Look at it. They're still going. Look at what he ends up with. The 1 and 3. Looked like it was going to be much worse than that. Now he's got a very makeable shot. And he makes it. So a little break here or there can really make the difference. And he had a great break that time with that first ball. He's going to miss the pocket here, too, and still comes out of it with a pretty good 7-pin drop. Tough shot here, though. He will be open.
We mentioned his son, Steven. He also has another son, Brandon, who's 6, and daughter, Alyssa, the baby, at 4 years old.
That's a nice 10 box for Steve Renaud, who has a 17-pin lead in the match. Bruno Defeo has been able to chop away only 4 pins. Watch him slide that 3-pin over to the 7.
Beautiful.
Perfectly done. Great shot by Renaud for the 10. Now Bruno Defeo on lane 34. Right in the pocket. Look at what he's left with. He's left with the 5 and the 7 and a piece of wood that slides off the deck. Does not help. He'll try to slide the 5-pin over to the 7-pin. Almost did it. Gave it a great run, didn't he?
Doing a chicken dance on that shot.
Yeah.
A little body English. Almost had it.
That's going to be a 9 box for Bruno Defeo. It hit the pin in the gutter before it hit the 10-pin. So he's at 119. A little too full on the head pin, and another tough shot. This one's more makeable with the wood set up the way it is. This is the 2 and the 6 with a piece of wood in between. The 2-pin, of course, is the key right here. He's going to make the shot. He missed the shot.
That's where he wanted to put it, I think.
Absolutely.
Looked like it would have gone.
It was not frozen, obviously.
Nope.
To the 6-pin. I thought it was. That'll be a 10 box, a 129 second string for Bruno Defeo. Steve Renaud now with a chance to add to his lead.
Next week, it's the ladder championship match. Top seed will be here, John Winchell. $1,500 to the winner, $1,000 to the runner-up next week. Join us.
Man, oh man, how does that 5-pin survive everything that goes on around it? It's still standing, piece of wood frozen to it. Pretty wide target here for Steve. He didn't need it. He just took it on its own. And he will add to his lead. He had a 21-pin lead after 1. It'll be more than that after 2. That's off the head pin, but he's got a good second pocket drop. And he's got the 1 and the 9 with a bunch of wood. There it goes. He got it off the rebound. Don't know if he planned it that way, but he'll take it.
I don't think so. Look at that, right off the wall.
Bouncing off the wall right into the 9-pin.
Ah, that was pretty.
134 plus a ball. The ball's a good one. 142 second string for Steve Renaud, and a 34-pin lead in the match after 2 strings. We're coming back for string number 3 when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. String number 3, Steve Renaud is going to be first to bowl, and he has a 34-pin lead over Bruno Defeo.
Well, what a struggle it was last week to beat Chris Sargent. Both bowlers just having a tough time. Ended up winning by 9 pins. He's got a lot more momentum going this week with 128 and 142 already at 270 through 2.
They were deadlocked after 2 strings last week. Will he get the roll this time? Not quite. We're going to try to get to as many emails as we can, catching up from the stack that we have left over from the end of last season. $10 for Steve Renaud. Denny Moore checks in from Berwick, Maine. Just writes to let us know that he watches every week. Denny, thank you very much. Nice to hear from you.
Testing his new computer, I
suspect. That's it. Just that simple to send us a quick email. Here's a Steve Renaud right in the pocket on the Brooklyn side. Brian Smith wrote in, and he asked that, well, he said his father's Frederick Smith, and his father was on the Channel 5 show in 1975, around that time, and he wondered if anybody had a tape of it. I called my friend Ed Harding at Channel 5, who used to be a host of the Candlepin Bowling Show. And the short answer is no. They don't have an archive of tapes of shows.
What a shame.
Going back that far.
Did they save anything?
No. One of the producers saved a few, selected few, but not many.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
A lot of bowling history up in smoke there.
So, Brian, I'm sorry I couldn't help you more, but apparently unless there's someone out there who saved all of the tapes and has all of the shows and collected a lot of memories from the old Channel 5 show, I don't know what else to do for you. I'm sorry we weren't able to help. Bruno will take a 10 box in the first frame of the third string.
Does a little bowling in the Western New England Candlepin Association. The events are structured a little differently. Everybody bowls 5 strings, and then the top 5 bowls single elimination stair-step matches to determine the winner. That's an exciting format as well. So he's busy doing that when he has some time to get out to the western part of the state.
That's a great shot by Bruno right there.
Very
great
nice.
Spare, very clutch spare up against a Steve Renaud spare. Watch the spare. He hit right on the outside of the head pin, and he played it perfectly. Great spare by Bruno Defeo. Paula Looney of Weymouth, Massachusetts, sent me an email hoping that we'd send out a hello to her grandmother, Mary Livingstone of Quincy. She's been a longtime fan of Candlepin and Candlepin bowling and watches us faithfully. She even sneaks away during some of their holiday gatherings to catch the show. So here's a shout out to Mary Livingstone of Quincy, Massachusetts. Thanks for watching. Here's Steve Renaud.
Wow, that's a fan, huh? Somebody that would sneak out of family gatherings, put on the TV, the volume real quiet.
There are a lot of people that do that.
Punch out. Spread eagle minus the 2-pin with some wood sticking out in front of the 6-pin, hanging over the lip of the gutter.
Here's one for you, Mike, right up your alley.
No pun intended, I'm sure.
No. Hal Goldstein doesn't put his address here, but he says, assuming the ball hits the head pin of the pocket in the same place, will the pinfall be the same if the ball is released with no spin or if the ball has some side spin? Does it make any difference if it's rolling straight or rolling sideways?
Well, we talked about that, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? That it is preferable to put some kind of rotation or spin on the ball, flying in one direction or another for some kickback off the sides.
Hal is 60+ years old and has a 94 average, and he's trying to improve and wants some helpful hints.
But ultimately, whatever you do, whatever gives you more control. Control is more important than the spin, or if it's just rolling end over end. Whatever's comfortable for you. Once you get that down, then you can start to experiment a little bit, but get something that's consistent for you.
Well, Bruno's matching Steve Renaud's marks, but he needs to do better than that. We'll put 6 in this spare.
Gets one pin back through 3 frames.
Needs to do better than that.
That's for sure.
Needs to make shots like that.
Beautiful.
That's a $50 shot. As we go to the break, Bruno will be working on a mark, coming back to Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Steve Renaud on lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, as you get a look at our great crowd that comes to our tapings. Renaud right on the head pin leaves himself a tough shot.
Even in the bad weather, we still get a good turnout.
This is the 610 on the right, the 7 on the left. There are a couple of pieces of wood well away from the pins, well out to this side of the deck toward us. And they could go anyway. They could go any which way. Will he get it? Oh, he almost got it. Wow.
He made the 710.
I know. But he needed to make the 6-7-10.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was some shot. $10 for Steve Renaud.
Realizes that Bruno's got a little thing going here with 3 marks in a row, so he wants to try to maintain as much distance between himself and Bruno Defeo as he can with just 5 boxes left for the right-hander from Southbridge. So he's got the 4-7-8 piece of wood, not quite squared to the edge of the lane right at the plate, but he'll have to use it. No choice.
Nope, not going to make it. Michael Phyllis Stevens from Dudley, Massachusetts, which is right near Southbridge, Steve Renaud's hometown, writes that you fellows are very good at predicting how a play should be made. Therefore, how come when we are bowling, we can't seem to follow our own advice? Just kidding. We really enjoy your show and your commentary. Keep up the good work. How come you can't follow your own advice there, Michael?
Who won this year, Dick?
You're going to get yours.
Who won this year?
You will get yours.
All right.
I can't wait.
It may not be pretty, but I had more sticks at the end of the match than you did. And after 4 years, we're tied at 2 each in our annual grudge match that we do as part of a charitable fundraiser every year at Pilgrim Lanes. Well, this could put an end to Bruno's bonus money run. And does.
Well, he played the wood. It was the only play he had to try to make the shot. Bruno will make a 9 box. Want to find out what's going on at Leda Lanes? Get some more information about future roll-offs and open bowling. There's the website, ledalanes.org. O-R-G. www.ledalanes.org. When you're online, give it a try. Sean Howard does a lot of work on keeping the website up to date. Does a great job at keeping everything at Leda Lanes up to date with Ray Simino, the proprietor. Sean's the manager. They have a terrific crew here. They always go out of their way to make everyone comfortable. Bruno will be open in the 6th frame, running out of frames. And that will be a 9 box.
And Bruno finds himself in a 28-pin deficit. Not impossible, but with only 4 boxes to go. Very difficult.
Well, he needs to just about run the table and have Steve Renaud go open the rest of the way. Steve is trying to accommodate. Spread eagle.
And the 8-pin in the back.
Look at that shot. Almost made it.
It's a way to do it. Your tendency is to go for the 4 on the one side, but the best thing is to go for the 3 on the other side, hoping to catch that pin in the back and make them all fall forward.
Good 10 box for Steve. Unfortunately, you missed Steve's reaction to it. The camera was on the pins, so Steve was giving it a little bit of body English, trying to get him to topple over. He's been without a mark now 4 boxes in a row. That's a pretty good pocket shot. And there's the 7-pin still standing, and I want to tell you, he doesn't have an easy shot right here.
Well, the advantage is he's got a piece of frozen wood. That pin up in front should be able to push back. I think he makes this one.
He should be able to. It could bounce off the wall and come away.
He went too far to the right on that. That's too bad. But it gives Bruno Defeo new life. He can actually get 15 to 20 pins back with a couple of marks here.
It's just never as easy as it looks.
You keep saying that week after week, and you're right. These guys make it look easy because they're so good. But go ahead and try it this weekend if you haven't been out bowling in a while. It's a lot of fun.
I asked you earlier about the kingpin and the origination of the term kingpin, and I couldn't recall who sent us the question. Here it is. Tom Lucia is the one who emailed me with that question. Does anyone know the origin of the sport? of bowling. We know that. We've talked about that before. But why is the 5-pin called the kingpin? As Bruno missed the spare. And he needed it badly. That'll be a 9-box.
So he loses another pin, his 9 against a 10 in the 7th frame.
Can't afford to lose too many more. Needs to mark right here, or he will just about be out of it. A strike would be most helpful for Bruno. There it is. So he stays alive. Watch it again. It was the 4-pin that was the last, and it took a late bounce off the wall for the 4-pin to get tripped over. So it's not quite over. But Steve Renaud can do a lot toward ending it with a mark or two right here. There goes the 7-pin.
That was very helpful.
Oh, sure. This is a very makeable shot now. He's got a piece of frozen wood on the 10-pin. The key here is the 3-pin, the front pin. The back pin goes. The front pin is the tough one. He could knock that wood by it. Got them both.
Well, barring a string of strikes from Bruno, that nearly ices it for Steve Renaud. Next week, it's John Winchell, our runner-up today, by the way. Doesn't do too badly, $550. Winner next week, though, $1,500 with the runner-up, $1,000 in our championship match.
Well, the 4-pin fill doesn't ice it. He'll take 3 on the right, and now he'll try for the 3 on the left. He's at 113 right now. Good 10-box and a 116, and a 3-string total of 386 for Steve Renaud. And Bruno Defeo needs 53 pins
to tie.
Well, he's got to fill a strike fill here first and foremost. Got to get that 5-pin out of there. Didn't do it. Needs to make this shot, and this is not an easy shot. And the wood is rolling off on the right side. That's not going to help. The wood on the left, well, this is a tough shot.
Hit that wood high.
Which is what he tried to do, just what he tried to do. And take his chances, and he did not convert. Now he's at 114 now. He's at 350, and the match is over. He needs 36 pins in the last box, and you can't do it. Mathematically, it's impossible. So Steve Renaud will advance.
So the higher seed dominating now has been broken, as Bruno Defeo falls victim to the lower seed Steve Renaud, who was number 3. Bruno is seeded number 2.
I want to acknowledge one more email. Kevin Ordway has been watching our show for a long time. The bowlers we have on the show are great. I hope that the show keeps on going for many years to come. And thank you for being there for me, Kevin Ordway. Kevin, thank you for writing, and thank you for watching, and congratulations to Steve Renaud, who wins with a final of 386 to Bruno Defeo's 360. We'll come back to meet our bowlers right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Steve Renaud defeats Bruno Defeo. The final score of 386 to 360. We'll pass out some money to Bruno Defeo, our runner-up. $550 for the runner-up money. You had some bonus money as well, $125. And coming back from a physical ailment, good outing.
Yeah, I'm happy. I threw the ball well. I felt real comfortable. It could have been a little bit better, but I'll try to just get back here another time, that's all.
I don't think we mentioned you have a daughter, Kayla Nicole. She's 4 years old. Does she have any signs or any interest in bowling so far?
Oh, yeah, she does, but she'd rather just move the balls back and forth right now on the ring, so.
Get her finger smashed a few
Right,
times.
and throw the ball straight up in the air, so we can't have that yet. So she's getting there.
we're glad that the back is feeling better, and I'm sure you'll see you back again.
Bruno, thanks very much. Good to see you. Bruno
Thanks,
Defeo,
Bruno.
our runner-up here this afternoon. And now the bonus ball contest will give you a chance at home to win some cash. Mike will reach into the bin. We have, what, $20 in the bin. We had a winner a couple of weeks ago.
What do you want us to pull?
And let's see if we... Steve wants us to pull out a 7. Let's see what we got.
See.
We've got Stella Powers from Rockland, Massachusetts. She picked a 7. So go get a 7, Steve Renaud. Let's see if we can give away some money on the bonus ball contest.
We've changed the format now. We pick the card ahead of time, and the bowler knows what he has to get.
Oh, he got an 8. Not a match. Consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts for Stella Powers of Rockland, Massachusetts. Come on over here between us, Steve. A little better finish than last week.
Yes, I bowled much better. Maybe my nerves were a little more at ease that match. I got into a pretty good rhythm, and I built up a little bit of confidence. And I pinned very well that match. I think I threw quite a bit of 10 boxes. Bruno, nice guy, very, very good bowler. He whooped my butt on Channel 5 many, many years ago, back around 1990, I think. So now we're even.
Well, I can see you've got this kids Candlepin bowling show out in Sturbridge on Channel 13, and I know that you're an announcer for that, so I can see that you're warming up. You're a lot more talkative, and you're going to be on the other side of the microphone. How are you enjoying that?
Yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy it. I guess as I'm getting older, I'm not as nervous as I used to be. I remember when I was younger, I didn't want to talk at all. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I think the kids are too. I've been getting calls from different parts of Massachusetts, people calling to find out and talk to me about it. So it looks like I think it's going to be a big success, and we're looking forward to it.
Steve, thanks very much. Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
See you then.
Steve Renaud, our winner this afternoon over Bruno Defeo, 386 to 360, and we'll have a champion next week.
Yes, John Winchell is here. $1,500 on the line for the winner next week.
John Winchell and Steve Renaud meeting for the ladder championship. Hope you can join us for that one. For Mike Morin, I'm Dick Lutz, and for our entire WNDS TV crew from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Remember, when your friends are together and you're looking for something to do, let's go bowling. See you next time.